As usual, Harvey sat in his chair with a beer in his hand and watched the baseball game on the big screen TV. After dinner, Betsy went upstairs. He had no idea what she was doing, but he didn't care. As far as he knew, it was just another evening at home. Just before 7, however, the doorbell rang. No sooner had Harvey gotten up than Betsy called out from upstairs, "Harvey, please open up!" Of course, I was going to do it anyway. He walked to the door and opened it to see a well-dressed man who was unfamiliar to him. "Yes, can I help you?" "I hope you're not selling anything?" "No, I'm here to pick up Betsy." "For what?" "We're on a date." Harvey's eyes bulged. "You and my wife Betsy are on a date?" "Yes." Harvey froze for a moment, trying to figure out what to do. "I'll call her." He walked to the foot of the stairs and shouted upstairs, "Betsy, your cavaltour is here." Did he expect her to ask what date? Or, it's not really a date. Instead, she said, "Tell him I'll be right there." Harvey just stood there wondering what was going on. When she walked into the living room, she was wearing a short evening dress, showing off a large cleavage and lots of makeup on her face. Harvey asked, "Betsy, tell me what the hell is going on?" "I'm going on a date." "Married women don't go on dates with anyone but their husband." I'm sick of spending my evenings drinking beer and watching curling or some other exciting sport. The most I want you to do is burp or fart. And you don't even apologize when you do it. When was the last time we did something exciting? If you can't give me any attention or the occasional chance to have fun, I'll find someone who can. She jabbed her index finger at his chest for emphasis. "Don't wait for me. If I'm lucky, I might not be back until morning." She left, slamming the door behind her. Betsy got into the waiting car and told the driver to get moving. As soon as he pulled away from the house, he stopped and they both started laughing. Betsy said, "I wish I had a picture of his facial expression. It was priceless. If that doesn't make him go from a sloth to a normal person, I don't know what will." "Don't you think it might make him angry and make things worse?" "I doubt it. He'll probably just sit there wondering what happened. I'll be back before he gets too upset. I don't think he'll be so quick to divorce, but I'm willing to take the risk. I probably shouldn't have added the part about not being home until tomorrow. It's too late now. With the way our marriage is shaping up, I think I'd rather get divorced than keep this up. Damn him. I love that idiot to death, but I wish he cared more about me and us. Well, go around the block. We'll come back and I'll see how he's doing." After driving around the block, Betsy and her beau pulled into the driveway and parked. Harvey didn't run out into the street as Betsy had hoped. She entered the house and didn't see him in the living room, although the TV was on. She took a quick look around the first floor and went upstairs. He wasn't there. Then she called his cell phone when she heard the ringing. Betsy ran over and saw his cell phone on the nightstand. Next to it lay his wedding ring. She quickly looked around the room. Several of his personal items were missing. Shit. Betsy ran downstairs to tell her friend what had happened and to see if Harvey's car was in the garage. It was gone. The man asked, "Where do you think he was?" "He probably went to a bar to get drunk. Worst case scenario, he might even spend the night in a motel. I imagine he's sulking like a little kid. He'll pay for it when he gets back and forgets my joke. On the other hand, his leaving might be for the best. If he feels bad about making me go to such lengths to motivate him, I don't mind him continuing to feel bad for a little while longer." Harvey didn't call back that evening or the next morning. The next day, when Betsy could stand it no longer, she called Harvey's personal secretary well before he was due back from lunch. "Barbara, please put me through to my husband." "It's not working." "Betsy, what the hell is going on?" Harvey came in this morning staggering and told me to shut up and listen. He tells me he's taking the day off because he has a lot of personal business to take care of. He then asks me who handles our company's health insurance. I gave him the name of the girl in HR who handles the health insurance. That got him, and he didn't want to talk to me anymore. He left without saying a word of thanks or anything. That doesn't sound like Harvey at all. Do you know what happened to him? Did someone close to him die or something? I am what happened to him. I used a trick that didn't work. When I talk to him and kiss his ass, hopefully he'll come around. Now, could you transfer me to that girl in Human Resources? Sure. Human Resources, Rhonda. I'd like to speak to Sylvia, please. She's going through orientation with a new employee. Is there anyone else who can help you? Can anyone tell me what Harvey Strickland was doing in your HR department today? I can look at his file, but I need his permission to give you any information. I'm his wife. Is there anything you can tell me? I can look up your insurance on his policy. Hold on. Let me think about it. It's a coincidence. We were supposed to contact you today anyway. You should receive an official notice in the mail that you are no longer covered under your husband's health insurance. You can keep the insurance for 180 days before it expires if you pay off the debt. That's the only thing he changed. Stunned, Betsy just sobbed, said thank you, and hung up. Why did Harvey drop me from his health insurance? And then it hit her. She immediately went to her computer to check their online bank accounts. Half the money had been withdrawn from my checking and savings accounts. Hell, he's in the process of divorcing me. Betsy couldn't decide what to do next. She thought for a moment until the phone rang. It was their life insurance agent and Larry's family friend. It was Betsy. Hello, Larry? Betsy, can you tell me what the hell is going on? Harvey came here, canceled the automatic payment on your insurance, and changed the beneficiary to the girls. No money should go to you. Also, the funds automatically withdrawn for the life insurance payout have been transferred to the new account. He said he was sure that's the way he wanted it to be. I'll have to send you a formal notice of the change of beneficiary and the termination of the life insurance benefits. I'm sorry. I guess you two must be estranged. Betsy, I'm so sorry. Please come see me as soon as possible so your life insurance doesn't expire. Am I right in thinking you're getting a divorce? Yes, thank you. There's nothing more I can tell you. But you really haven't told me anything. Yes, she hung up. 2 minutes later, their lawyer, neighbor, and friend Doug called. Betsy dumbly answered. Hello? Betsy, it's Doug. Can you tell me what the hell is going on? Harvey came here and changed his will so that the kids get everything from him and you get nothing. He also took you off the list of people who can be his medical assistant. He refused to tell me the reason and said he didn't care if I told you or not. He then asked me for a referral to a family lawyer. I'm assuming that you two are having some serious problems and are thinking about divorce. Look, I can always change things if you two get back together. I'm sorry this is happening. Marilyn and I think very highly of both of you. I have to run, but I wish you both the best, Betsy replied weakly. The next call was from their twin daughters who were in college together. Mom, what the hell is going on? Dad called us, committing all of us to you. He said you were dating and having sex with other men. Then he told us he was going to be gone for a while so he could date other men before the divorce. He said he had taken care of our future college expenses. We tried to ask questions, but he ignored us. He told us to remember that he loved us and hung up. Mom, we're afraid Dad's going to hurt himself. Can you tell us what happened to make him so depressed? I'm the idiot who drove him to depression, and I'm trying to find him to apologize. The problem is I can't find him. Maybe I can try. Hey, I got another call. Maybe it's him. Call us back. Hello, Harvey? No, it's your mother-in-law, Doris. What the hell is going on? My son called me crying like a baby. He said something about you sleeping with a bunch of men at some nightclub. He looked drunk, so I wasn't sure how much of his story was true. All I know is that he was very depressed. Anyway, he said he was going to solve the problem by giving you your freedom. The worst part was that he thanked me and his father for raising him right. He then apologized for betraying his upbringing by letting us down. He said goodbye. I didn't like his tone. He hung up before we could ask any more questions. When we called him back, he didn't pick up. Betsy, I'm afraid he might do something stupid. What happened between you two? I was trying to get Harvey to leave the empty nest and enjoy life with his wife. I decided to do something crazy to get him to come out of his empty nest and enjoy life with his wife. I decided to do something crazy to get him out of his depression. I pretended to go on a date with another man. I was out of the house for 10 minutes, 10 lousy minutes. When I came back, he was gone. Today, I found out that he's done some things that look like he's going to divorce me. I'm trying to find him to stop this madness, but I can't reach him to talk to him. So it's your fault that my son is going to kill himself. Let me tell you something. If he dies, I will hold you personally responsible. Click. Betsy couldn't think straight. She called all the local hotels and motels. None of them listed Harvey as a customer. Betsy called the police and tried to file a missing persons report, saying she was afraid he would commit suicide. That information didn't make any difference. She would have to wait another day before reporting it. Betsy took a sleeping pill to help her sleep, although the thought of suicide in the event of Harvey's death crossed her mind. Fortunately, she knew the code to the safe where Harvey kept the automatic pistol and ammunition. Waking up sleepy, she turned on the news on the television. The local news station was broadcasting a live interview from the scene. This is Lamar Jackson of TV3 News. Looks like Bender's Curve took another victim or victims last night. We have Sergeant Cantor with us, State Police. Sergeant. Cantor, can you tell us exactly what happened? It looks like the car went off the cliff. You can see that it went through the strongest part of the barriers. The driver was either unlucky or he knew what he was doing. What do we know so far? Given the lack of signs of braking, it is possible that the driver may have lost consciousness, been under the influence of alcohol or drugs, or committed suicide. How did you learn of the accident? Police were called by a driver traveling in the opposite direction. He's here now. The camera switched to the young man. The reporter approached him. Young man, what's your name? I'm Sean Carpenter. Am I on TV? I just want to say hi to my mom. Hello, Mom. He was smiling from ear to ear. Sean, tell us what you saw. I was driving home and I saw a big truck coming my way. It swerved a little and then pulled into my lane. I hit the brakes and all of a sudden it swerved to the right really fast, hit the guardrail, and went off the cliff. Can you describe the truck? Sure, it was a red Ford F-150, probably a 19. It had a Western Kentucky Mountain Man sticker on the rear window. Did you see who was driving? No, the truck had its headlights on, and I only caught a glimpse of the man behind the wheel. He looked like a man. I don't think there were any passengers, that's all I know. Thank you, Sergeant. Cantor, did you call for help to find the truck that crashed into the guardrail? We don't know exactly what hit the fence. We're assuming it was a truck, according to Mr. Carpenter. It's impossible to see what it is from here. We have a search and rescue team in the mountains, but they are currently conducting search and rescue efforts in another part of the state. I don't know when they'll be able to get down there and check it out. But what if someone out there is still alive and needs medical attention? Then you would be witnessing a real miracle. No normal person could survive a fall like that on those rocks. I would not risk the lives of those who are not qualified to go on an expedition just to find out. All we have to do is wait for the mountain rescuers. Bets didn't have to wait to guess what had happened and who had died. She started crying as soon as they said, a red Ford F-150 with a WKU Hilltopper sticker. She paid no attention to the ringing phone. She had been sobbing alone for the third hour when the twins showed up. When she didn't answer the phone, they got worried and rushed home to be with her. They received a call from their grandmother, telling them that there was a news report on TV about a red F-150. Despite the lack of a body, they were almost certain it was their father who had crashed. The older twin answered her mother's call and handed her the phone. The name of the law firm was on the identification line. Hello, this is Betsy Strickland. She almost couldn't pronounce the last name because she was choking. Mrs. Strickland, my name is Chris Andrews. I'm an attorney in the same office where your friend Doug works. Your husband hired me to represent him in his divorce proceedings. I probably shouldn't have called you, but Doug talked me into it. I was contacted by the Riverton Police Department in Caldwell County. They were called to the scene of a robbery. The defendant suffered a head injury. His wallet and keys were stolen. He was taken to the emergency room and soon underwent surgery. The unidentified man was put into a coma to relieve pressure on his brain. The only thing he had on him was a motel room key. He was traced to Harvey Strickland. Among the papers in his hotel room was a copy of the divorce agreement that put me in charge of his divorce proceedings. That's why they called me. Your husband put me in charge of the divorce case because he did not want you to have any direct dealings with him. I have to tell you that you are not allowed to see him in the hospital. I base this decision on very clear verbal instructions given to me by Mr. Strickland regarding his relationship with you. Your children may, however, visit him, but I have the right to decide whether to allow them. What? He's my husband. Of course I can see him. I'm sorry, but the mandate he signed gives me and only me the right to make decisions regarding the divorce as well as his medical care. I have to follow his last verbal instructions. If you want to hire an attorney to fight this, act immediately. Weren't the divorce proceedings canceled because of his condition? No, ma'am. I was given clear instructions to pursue the divorce no matter what, although I don't think he foresaw being robbed. Does that mean that all the financial insurance and benefit arrangements he has made will not be reversed? Yes, ma'am. They have all been carried out by him, and at this point I see no evidence that he wants to undo them. Of course there's no such evidence. He's in a coma. This is ridiculous. I tricked my husband into believing I was going on a date with another man. When I went back to tell him it was a joke, he was already gone. He had gotten rid of his cell phone, so I couldn't tell him it was a joke. I have no reason for the divorce and no reason for the actions he took regarding the joke. I mean, no disrespect, but that is what you are saying now. I have to follow what Mr. Strickland instructed me to do and confirmed in writing. I have no other choice. I hate to tell you this, but tomorrow you will be delivered to work as Mr. Strickland requested. As soon as you find a lawyer, have him or her contact me to find out how to proceed. I don't care. He's my husband, and I'll see him if I want to. I forgot to tell you that the envelope you will receive contains a restraining order directing you to stay at least 1,000 feet away from him. The petition he offered is very generous. He stated that he wants you to have a chance to meet the man you really want now. Betsy told the children what the lawyer had said. It was impossible to believe what had happened. Betsy said she would go to the hospital no matter what they said. The girls agreed to accompany her. The trip didn't take long. The hospital did not have a copy of the restraining order, but visitors were not allowed in because of COVID restrictions for all hospital patients. They said that when he was transferred to the ICU, he would be able to receive visitors, but only one person for 10 minutes every 2 hours. Betsy and her daughters went home unsatisfied. By the time Harvey was placed in the ICU, the restraining order was already in place. One daughter could visit him, but what would that accomplish? He was unconscious, and if he understood anything, it was what they were saying. But they couldn't say it. A few days later, a mountain search and rescue team found the truck. They assumed the robber was the dead man sitting behind the wheel. Harvey's wallet was still there, but several hundred of the $6,000 were missing. This was probably due to the discovery of several bottles of rare Kentucky bourbon. One of them was more than half empty. As time went on, Betsy found herself in a difficult financial situation. Harvey had forgotten to deposit his check into the couple's joint account, which paid the mortgage and other bills. Betsy hired an attorney who asked the court to grant her access to half of the money left in the account. Finally, it was time to bring Harvey out of his drug-induced coma and into consciousness. When he woke up, he said he didn't know who he was. The diagnosis was temporary amnesia. Linda, one of the twins, brought pictures and memories to jog his memory. All efforts were in vain. Nor did he remember the attorney who had his power of attorney. In that state, he was not considered knowledgeable enough to lift the restraining order. When Harvey came out of his coma, he was given a memory test to see if he had amnesia. Harvey quickly realized that's exactly what they were doing and immediately decided to fake it. He was told that his daughters wanted to see him. The first to see him was Carol, the other twin. He asked her who she was. "Daddy, I'm one of your daughters, Carol. You were attacked and went into a coma. We were waiting for you to wake up." "We?" "Yeah, Linda, me and Mom, your wife." "I have a wife?" "Yeah." "Why isn't she here?" "She's not allowed to come. There's been a misunderstanding between you two, and she's got a restraining order." "My God, does she really want to hurt me?" "No, Dad. She's no threat to you. You were very angry with her." "About what?" "She pretended to go on a date with another man. Before she came back and said it was a joke, you left and started divorce proceedings. Now that you are awake, you can fix all of this." "How do I know she didn't go on a date?" "She says she didn't." "Didn't you just say she said she went on a date?" "Yes, but it was a lie." "So she lied about going on a date, and then it turns out she was telling the truth about not going on a date. I may not remember you or her, but I'm not stupid. I have to assume I took steps to protect myself. I'm sorry, miss, but your 10 minutes are up. You'll have to leave now." 2 hours later, his other daughter arrived. "I've already spoken to you, haven't I?" "No, that was my twin sister, Carol. I'm Linda. Don't you recognize me?" "I'm sorry, but not yet." "You and your sister are very attractive young women. Were we on good terms?" "I understand that your mother and I are separated." "We were on good terms." "Your mother played a prank on you, attacked you, and injured your head before she could tell you it was a joke. You started making moves toward divorce before you even knew it. You have to stop it, Dad. I don't know what to do. I don't know if you're my daughter or not. I don't know who my wife is or if I even have a wife. I don't think I should do anything before my memory comes back. If that happens, do I have a lawyer?" "You have two. One for regular cases, one for divorces. You gave him a divorce license. Maybe if I talk to him, it'll help jog my memory." "Could you contact him or her and ask him to come and see me?" "Sure, anything that might jog your memory." "Dad, can you let Mom come visit you? It kills her that she can't see you and apologize. I don't think I'll feel safe around her, maybe later." "Mr. Strickland, I'm Chris Andrews, your family lawyer. Do you remember me? Is everything we're talking about confidential?" "Mr. Strickland, I'm Chris Andrews, your family lawyer. Do you remember me? Is everything we're talking about confidential?" "Absolutely." "Good, I don't have any amnesia." I'm trying to figure out what to do about my divorce. All I remember is asking you to give her more so she could move on without me. That's right. She's been sued and given an attorney. You want to terminate the contract and stop the divorce? No and no. Can you investigate her alleged lack of visitation and let me know what you find? I can hire someone on your behalf if you let me. Do that. Harvey continued to pretend he had amnesia and kept talking to his daughters, ignoring their requests to see their mother and stop the divorce. He waited for a report from his attorney. The report came a few days later. According to private investigators, there was not enough evidence to prove whether or not she went on a date. The man she was with swears nothing happened, but he's married and may be afraid to tell the truth. It's up to you to believe her or not. I was afraid of that. Thank you for the information. I think it's time for me to get my memory back. I want you to continue with the divorce proceedings. Carol was the only one who heard him say her name from memory. Shortly thereafter, he told her that memories came flooding back to him, including the night of Betsy's betrayal or deception, depending on what you believe. He agreed to meet with Betsy. After hugs and tears, Betsy began, Harvey, it was a deception, a sneaky deception to get you to change. Doug and I only drove 1 block away, but when we came back, you were gone. How do I know that's true? I can have Doug come in and tell you. He's the one who helped me pull this stunt. So I'm going to have to take the word of the man you cheated on me with to convince me that you didn't cheat on me. I'm sorry, but that dog doesn't hunt. I tried to call you, but you left your phone at home. I sat and waited for you all night, but you never came back. Was anyone there while you waited? Doug was there for a couple hours, and then he went home. Somehow I'm sure he'll vouch for you. I waited to hear from you until the next day when I called your office. That's when I found out that you treated my fake affair like scorched earth. You looked like you couldn't wait to get rid of me. Why wouldn't I be? You told me to my face that you were going to cheat on me. You said you wanted another man who stood in front of me in my house. I was devastated. But because I loved you, I wanted to give you what you wanted as soon as possible. Besides, I no longer wanted to be married to you because you were no longer honoring our marriage vows. Why prolong the agony? Let's just get a divorce. I don't want a divorce. I didn't plan to cheat on you and I never have. I wanted to encourage you to fight for me and bring life back into our marriage. Obviously, I chose the wrong way to do it. I'm so sorry. Please, Harvey, stop the divorce and let's get our lives back together. I love you. Even if what you said is true, and I still don't believe it, you played a cruel, vile joke on me. I don't know if I want to stay married to a woman who does these things. Right now, I'm continuing divorce proceedings, and I'm going to move into my own apartment when I get out of the hospital. Harvey, this is such a waste of money. You have a house and a bed. I'll move to another room in the house for a while if that's what it takes to get you back. Visiting time is over, and I want to see my daughters. Betsy was sent out of the room. The twins tried to support their mother. Neither of them could explain how much time their mother had spent with Doug that night, so it didn't matter to Harvey. When it came time to check out, he moved into an apartment near his work. The divorce continued until it got to the point where Betsy's lawyer demanded mandatory counseling for them, 12 sessions. Harvey offered no resistance. Betsy went first. I love my husband very much. We had a wonderful marriage and raised 2 wonderful girls together. I think the void syndrome hit him harder than it did me. I wanted to fill that void by spending more time with him doing different things, not just physically being together in the same house. Harvey seemed to distance himself from our marriage. Our sex life remained the same as it had been when we had to have sex at Tim's house when the girls were unlikely to hear. Their absence didn't change anything for Harvey. I decided to shake him into paying more attention to me. I talked a male friend from work into joining me in what I called shock therapy. One night, I pretended to go on a date with him. My beau and I drove around the block so I could come back and tell Harvey it was a joke to get him angry about our marriage again. When we returned 10 minutes later, he was gone, and I didn't get a chance to talk to him. I waited until the next day when I called his office and learned that he had taken several steps to divorce me. A few days later, I learned that Harvey had been robbed and was in a coma. When he came out of the coma, he didn't believe that my fake date was a ruse and I wasn't actually seeing other men. He has been seeking a divorce ever since. I apologize for my wrong actions and beg him to give me a second chance. Harvey, how do you describe what happened? She's accurate in some of what she said, but she left out a few details. When her boyfriend showed up, she not only told me that she was dating him despite my objections, but also stated that she hoped to spend the night having sex with him. At that moment, I realized that my marriage was dead. I decided it was my fault that our marriage was failing, so I wanted to leave as soon as possible. I left my home and hers so that she could have the man she wanted, and I could have the opportunity to start over. I took steps to separate us quickly. I gave power of attorney to an attorney because I didn't want to even think about Betsy anymore, let alone talk to her. I would give her a generous divorce and move on with my life. I didn't know they were going to rob me, and I certainly didn't expect to be in a coma. When I came out of the coma, I didn't remember who I was. Sometimes I wish I had stayed in the coma and recovered my memories of that night. Betsy claims she didn't actually go on the date, but offers no proof. In my opinion, it's just as likely that she did go on a date and slept with this guy, Doug. I think she only changed her mind when she realized how this was going to turn out for her socially and financially. Now I'm being asked to believe that it was just a joke, and I should go back to living with a woman who didn't mind breaking my heart. Even if she is telling the truth, she is a wife who has proven herself willing to hurt me when she sees fit. How can I live with that? Every night when I come home, I have to think about what awaits me. A loving wife or a cheating wife on a date. It's better if we're divorced. She and Doug can live together, and I can try to move on. Sounds like we have a lot to talk about. Everything was going along just fine until Betsy brought Doug in for a session. Harvey, I want to apologize for my involvement in the prank. Betsy assured me that everything would be fine. I had my doubts when she got in my car. I swear we only drove a block before we drove back to the house. She was shocked to find out you'd left. We found out you had abandoned your phone when we found it in your room. I stayed with her, waiting for you to return. Most of the time, she complained about what we had done and how much you meant to her. After a while, I left, apologizing again. Do you believe me now, Harvey? His words certainly sound sincere, but maybe he's just a good actor. Harvey, there seems to be nothing I can do to prove to you that it was just a joke. Regardless of the precedent, I will never make fun of you again. Can't you just trust me? Let's see. You lied to me the other night when you told me you were going to spend the night with Doug, and then claimed you didn't do anything. Now you're repeating that you're not lying. Further, do you want me to believe that you won't do anything like that again in the future? How do I know where the lies are and where the truth is? It comes down to trust, Harvey. If we're going to get back together, you have to trust me. If you can't do that, I'll agree to divorce you. The counselor has spoken. I have a proposal. How about a prenup that stipulates that if Betsy does this again, you get all the assets and the divorce? Would you be willing to sign it, Betsy? Yes. Harvey? I think I can try. Betsy came over and hugged him. Harvey gradually returned to his marriage to Betsy. It took quite some time before he and Betsy were in the same bed. Their interaction was very fragile. Over time, they developed a relationship that included more outings, doing chores together, visiting their daughters, and traveling. Their sex life became more active than before the incident. Betsy began to feel comfortable at home. One day, Harvey called and asked Betsy not to cook dinner. It sounded like they were going somewhere. He had to hang up quickly, so Betsy didn't know what the reason was. She remembered that his job was undergoing a reorganization due to a merger. Betsy assumed that he had received good news about his position after the reorganization. Harvey entered the house and immediately went upstairs. I'm getting changed for tonight, he commented on the way out. Soon the doorbell rang. Betsy opened it. Standing before her was a woman who looked about 10 years younger than they were. She was very attractive and professionally dressed. Yes, can I help you? I'm here about Harvey. We're going to a place tonight. Betsy remembered the incident he'd been trying to forget. She thought he'd finally decided to get revenge. An idea of what to do came to mind. She invited the woman in. You have a lovely home, Mrs. Strickland. Thank you, Mrs. Strickland. Excuse me a minute. I need to tell Harvey you're here. She called out, Harvey, your companion is here. His reply was inaudible. She assumed he said he would be right down. She turned back to the woman. Betsy was about to ask her a question when she heard Harvey coming down the stairs. She sprang into action. Betsy wrapped her arms around the woman's throat and began to choke her lightly. The bitch who steals husbands! The woman, who Betsy had mistaken for part of a reverse joke, began to struggle. Harvey shouted, Betsy, stop! What the hell is going on? Betsy started laughing. I caught you trying to make fun of me this time. What kind of joke? This is my new merger manager, Amanda Briggs. Amanda, I'm so sorry. I don't know what's gotten into her. Amanda frowned, looking at him. I like to think my charges are normal people, both on and off duty. You can say goodbye to your new position if that's what you consider normal. I'll be sitting in the car waiting for you to take me back to the hotel. Amanda, please give me a chance to explain everything before I do something rash. She ran out the door. Betsy was crying, sitting on the couch. Thank you so much, Betsy. Just when I thought our marriage was getting better, you ruin our marriage and my job. That's it. I'm leaving to try to save my job. I'm not coming back and saving my marriage. He headed for the car. Betsy ran upstairs and fell on the bed, sobbing. What the hell is going on? What have I done? What the hell is going on? What have I done? About 15 minutes later, Harvey and Amanda returned to the house. He called Betsy to come downstairs. They explained to her that they were playing with her. Betsy clung to Harvey and screamed that she was sorry. Later, they went out for dinner and a few drinks. Amanda told how she had been afraid that she would get hurt, but Harvey's help with the prank had been worth it. Betsy was finally able to share a laugh with the others. When Betsy and Harvey got home, she went to clean up the kitchen before going to bed. Harvey went upstairs. He immediately saw that his automatic pistol, which he had kept locked up, was lying on Betsy's nightstand. Examining the gun, he found that there was a cartridge in the chamber and the safety was off. His heart dropped to his stomach. Subscribe to our channel so your second chapter doesn't fool you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story doesn't compare to